Flea Flicker Show. You are tuned in to another episode of the Flea Flicker Show. We are your hosts, Fred and Dre. We drop new episodes every Wednesday and Friday in the NFL season. Subscribe on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. Follow us on social media at Flea Flicker Show. Dre, tell them what we got going on.
Yeah, man. So this is the Week 15 preview. Review. It already happened, guys. It's already done with. It's the review. There are actually some really good games this week and some pretty big surprises too. So we'll get through all of that. And before that, we're just going to hit some playoff stuff, like who clinched the playoffs and a couple teams that also got eliminated. And that's all I got. I don't think you have anything else either, right? We're just going to hop right in.
Yeah, hop right in.
All right, let's do it. So, yeah, like I said, a couple teams clinched the playoffs. The 49ers clinched a playoff spot, or they clinched the division with their win this week. The Eagles, despite the loss that we'll get into, they still clinched a playoff spot. And then the Cowboys, despite also losing, clinched a playoff spot. And the Ravens, the first AFC team to clinch a playoff spot. So 49ers, Eagles, Cowboys, and Ravens will be in the playoffs. And teams that won't be, teams that got eliminated this week, include the New York Jets, sorry, Aaron Rodgers, the Tennessee Titans, the Arizona Cardinals, and the Washington Commanders. They joined the Patriots and Panthers as eliminated teams this year. So, yeah, sorry for the fans of those teams, but teams aren't that great this year.
You know, you could, after last night, you could see the Seahawks weekend because they have a very easy schedule coming up with Titans, Steelers, and Cardinals.
Yeah, that was like a massive win.
Massive win for the Seahawks.
That we'll definitely get into. You know, they actually kept the Lions from clinching a playoff spot on Monday, because if they lost, the Lions would have actually also clinched a spot, which we both thought was going to happen, but we'll get into that when we get to it. For now, let's move to Thursday night football in Vegas. The Chargers and the Raiders. I thought this was going to be a poop game, but the Raiders, they showed up. I mean, it was kind of a poop game because of the Chargers, but the Raiders, they were lighting up the scoreboard. They scored 63 points, 63-21. I saw
they let up. They had 42 at halftime.
Yeah, it was insane. I saw a post that Antonio Pierce, the Raiders interim head coach, told the team to not let off the pedal. He was like, let's just keep. He's trying to get that job. I don't blame him. I do not blame him. But they did not let off the pedal, and the Chargers did so badly that their head coach, Brandon Staley, and the GM, Tom Telesco, both got fired after the game.
Pretty crazy about Staley, though. He went from a Division III assistant coach to a head coach in the NFL in 5 years. That is such a fast trajectory of your career. Like, yeah, he skipped a few steps. He had a cheat code and just kind of skipped half the story.
Yeah, he was part of that. Like, everyone wants the super young head coach because Sean McVay. So
yeah.
There are a couple teams where it kind of worked, like the Bengals. Zach Taylor, I don't think he wasn't even a coordinator. He was just kind of around.
Yeah, it worked for them. It worked for the Eagles with Sirianni. It's worked for a few teams.
But
McDermott's not old for the Bills.
McDermott, yeah. Yeah, there's quite a few teams with young coaches like that. But yeah, this game was pretty wild. The Chargers the Raiders scored a franchise best 63, and this was also a franchise worst for the Cardinals for allowing 63 points. It's pretty crazy. The Chargers were without, obviously, Justin Herbert. He's done for the season. Keenan Allen missed this game, but I mean, the Raiders didn't have Josh Jacobs. It's not like they were super healthy either.
Yeah,
it was kind of just shocking. I
was they didn't need the run at all. I mean, it was essentially just all passing. So O'Connell was dealing and he was dishing it out. So he was able to connect with essentially everybody out there. I mean, even who's the secondary receiver there? I'm blanking on his name. I don't know why. Jacoby Myers. Jacoby Myers threw a QB pass to Devonta Adams. Did he even get on the action for a QB pass there?
Yeah, and the defense was getting in on the scoring too. They had a pick six and a fumble return for a touchdown. It was just a complete and utter devastating loss for the Chargers.
Yeah.
Chargers fans must have been going crazy in their seats. Like, do you remember that, like, it was back in like week 8 or something, the like Asian girl that was losing her mind with the Chargers? I wonder what she was up to during this game, huh?
She's probably like drowning in her misery right now.
She's at the bar.
She might need
Still.
she might need a wellness check. I don't know.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. This gives Antonio Pierce some definite buzz for when the season is over. He's like, hey, remember that 63-point franchise best win? Yeah, that was
I
me.
did that.
Hire me. Antonio Pierce, I love that guy.
I did that without our Pro Bowl running back. That was me.
Former Giants legendary linebacker. Keep him, Raiders. Keep him. They didn't keep Rich Bisaccia after Bisaccia took him to the playoffs. Look how that turned out. Keep Antonio Pierce.
Yeah, that's enough of this. Let's move on.
That is plenty. Let's move to the Saturday games.
Saturday.
Yeah.
Saturdays are for football.
It's getting weird. There were some college football games this Saturday too. I didn't watch any of them though because I didn't care about them. But I just felt like I'd mention it. Anyway, NFL, 1 p.m. Saturday game in Cincinnati, the Vikings and the Bengals. This game was actually really good. It went to overtime where the Bengals gutted it out 27-24, but they had some pretty big injuries in this game. Most notably, DJ Reader, their run-stuffing D tackle, tore his quad. He's out for the season, and I honestly think that really impacts their playoff chances. He's a very good player for that defense.
Yeah, and Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase got hurt as well. He's out at least next week, likely for a couple weeks, though.
Yeah. We'll see what they can do without those two. That's probably like their best offensive and best defensive player right there. Maybe
T. Higgins, though. T. Higgins showed up. That man rose to the occasion, and he has been pretty much non-existent this season for the most part. And he showed up this week, though, and he put in work.
Yes, sir, he did. For the Vikings, Mullins was pretty solid for him in the loss. He looked better than Dobbs has looked the past few weeks, at least. And he got Addison going, and Jefferson had a pretty solid comeback game with Mullins throwing him the football. Yeah. And also, running back Ty Chandler filled in for Alexander Madison and did pretty solid at running back. So, look for a possible timeshare between those two when Madison.
Yeah, definitely. And the one cool thing about this game, Jake Browning, he was cut 3 times by the Vikings, so it was kind of a very sweet victory for him. To be able to beat the team.
Yeah. We'll see what Jake Browning can do. He might try to lead him to the playoffs. Let's move to the 4:30 Saturday game because there's 3 Saturday games in this one. This one in Indianapolis, the Steelers and the Colts. This one kind of went how we thought it would be. The Colts pretty much just took care of them. They won 30-13, and the Steelers couldn't get much going. The Colts continue to rack up the injuries, though. Michael Pittman getting rocked in this one. That was a kind of a terrifying hit. Honestly, though, like 6 years ago or something, that would have been just a regular play, and it would have been added to the biggest big hits at the end of the year. But in today's day and age, the safety that hit him gets suspended for the season after the hit. So it was, I think he did lead with his helmet. So, I mean, I guess I get it. It's just.
And he was in the air. So,
yeah.
He was diving in the air and just came head on at a defenseless receiver. So it was a pretty dirty hit. Just the fact that there was no way for Pittman to possibly defend himself.
It's a good call for the player's health. It's a bad call for the fans' entertainment. Oh well.
Yeah.
But
Steelers are a shit show.
Yeah, they are. Zach Moss also left early, which could be tough for the Colts, although they do expect JT to come back next week, but we'll see what happens there. But yeah, what were you going to say, man?
Steelers are a shit show.
Absolutely.
They're terrible. I don't know if something needs to be done about Mike Tomlin, but I mean, the defense hasn't been playing well. I mean, that defense for most of the season, we have said, is Super Bowl caliber. I don't know if it's just because they're exhausted, they're tired, because that offense can't do anything. They're on the field all game, every game. But they've given up quite a few big games recently, and that is not the MO of the Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I think it's the offense's fault, to be honest. I think with Trubisky, they literally can't move the ball. They've looked worse since they made the O coordinator change from Matt Canada, since Trubisky got out there at least. And he's doing so bad that they're actually, I think they said they are benching him for Mason Rudolph next week. So
good.
We'll see if Rudolph can
Here's
look
a
any
funny
better.
thing that you'll chuckle at. So in my Dynasty League, which you're not in, we'll talk about our fantasy football matchups here at some point. But in my Dynasty League, there is a guy who, Justin Herbert, rookie season, he decides 2 games into the season that he's going to cut Justin Herbert and pick up Mitch Trubisky.
That's a tough call. That is.
And till this day, he defends it. He defends it saying, how was I to know that Tyrod Taylor was going to puncture his lung? How was I to know that Justin Herbert was going to take over and be who he is? And it's like, well, he was the 6th pick of the draft. Tyrod Taylor was a 31-year-old quarterback at the time who had never been a franchise cornerstone. So
the Bills very briefly thought maybe, but yeah.
Brief logic would tell you, if not this season, probably next season, Herbert's going to take over, and it's a dynasty league. So you own that player indefinitely. So
wasn't Trubisky like already a failed quarterback at that point too?
It was his 4th season. He had already been cut from the Bears. If you're cut from the Bears, who haven't had a 4,000-yard passing quarterback in the history of the team, you fucking suck.
Yeah, that's tough. I don't see how he's defending that, to be honest.
No.
But let's move to the Saturday night game in Detroit. The Broncos faced the Lions, and the Lions pretty much dominated them the whole time. They won 42-17. The Lions are back, baby. We love to see it as the playoffs are coming. The Broncos thought they'd play better, but did you see the sideline spat in this one too for the Broncos?
Yeah.
God.
They were yelling at each other. And they're bad.
I don't think Russ has ever been chewed out as hard as Sean Payton chewed him out in this game. He looked lost and shocked, like, whoa, I'm Russell Wilson. What's happening here?
Yeah.
I'm Mr. Unlimited. How are you yelling at me?
Yeah, just a minute.
Yeah, the Lions, pretty much everyone went off. Sam Laporta specifically had a really good game. 3 touchdowns on his own. Goff, 5 touchdowns thrown.
Gibbs had a good
running game was great. Amon-Ra was doing good. Everybody was going off. And the Broncos just didn't have a chance. Nothing went good for them. So
no.
As they continue to try to get a playoff spot, we'll see if they can come back from this one.
Yeah. I agree with that. I mean, Lions showed out. They look like they are a playoff team, and like we said going into this game, if they lost this game, we'd be worried. But they commandingly won it. So Lions look good going into the stretch.
Yeah, we are no longer worried about the Lions. We'll see how they do against some bigger teams in the coming weeks. But let's move to Sunday football. This is the week. The day of the week that we're used to, but we were actually both undefeated in our picks up until this game. But, I should have still been undefeated if I followed my gut. Anyway, in Carolina, the Falcons and the Panthers went to battle, and this was like a horrible game. What did you think about it?
Yeah. What I think about it is that Art Smith does not deserve a job in the NFL. Art Smith can rot in hell. Man is a terrible fucking coach. Like, if you can't beat the Panthers, like, the script is there for you. Like, the Panthers, if you can't score more than 9 points and you have a very good receiver in Drake London, a very good talented tight end, Kyle, 2 very good running backs, Algier, who had 1,000 yards last year, and Bijan Robinson, who's a generational prospect. You have, like, those guys, like, it's on you. I don't care that Desmond Ridder is the quarterback. Turn him into a game manager. He doesn't need to play hero ball. Just put out a method for him to succeed and get down the field. Get your receivers open, and you should be able to put up at least like 15 points. Like, come on, it's just a joke.
Yeah, literally the only thing you can say about it is that it was a terrible weather game. The rain was coming down heavy all game. But, I mean, the Panthers were playing in the same mud, so come on.
So run the ball more. Like, why are you still trying to pass on it?
Yep.
Like, run the ball.
Arthur Smith seems to be a much better offensive coordinator, maybe, than a head coach. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
weird.
Algier led the way with 14 carries, and then Bijan Robinson had under 10. So it's like, I'm still confused as to why the Falcons even took Bijan.
Yeah, he ended some players' fantasy playoffs early.
Yeah, he ended mine.
Oh, that's tough.
Ended mine in my dynasty league. I mean, negative points. Points. I mean, I was still into it. I was still very close. I came like 6 points short after the Eagles game, but came very, very close.
It was a really gross game. I'll once again never pick Desmond Ridder. I shouldn't have freaking picked him in this one. I already had said that, but I was like, the Panthers are bad though, right? No, never pick Desmond Ridder. He's getting benched anyway, but if he comes back, not picking him. Anyway, gross game. Let's move off it. Let's move to Cleveland. The Bears and the Browns fought in Cleveland. This was our game of the week because we didn't have too many splits, but this was a good game. It was a good game. It went down to the wire. It was a pretty wild one. It kind of almost went how I predicted it with Joe Flacco leading the game-winning drive at the end. But he also threw some really bad picks in this one. If you were watching, he threw I believe 3 interceptions total. 2 of them were entirely on him. But that's kind of what you get with Joe Flacco. He's always been a gunslinger. He'll have these types of games, but he's the best. Honestly, I still think he's better than Deshaun Watson for the Browns at this point.
Seriously.
Amari Cooper had a huge catch too.
Yeah, Joe Flacco, I mean, took them down the stretch in the fourth quarter and got them the win. Because I mean, at that point, like in my notes, I had this one chalked up as a W. Just kind of stopped watching it for the Bears because the Bears were up 17-7 going into the fourth quarter, and even going into 3 minutes left in the game, the Bears were up 17-10. So the Browns scored a touchdown and took the lead with 30 seconds left. Bears almost got it with a Hail Mary pass, tipped off the hands of DJ Moore. Mooney almost caught it on the ground, but stone hands Mooney dropped it on the ground. It bobbled it like 5 times, and it was a no catch.
Yeah, I think it got intercepted, actually. He like popped it up, and the defender grabbed it and took it out of the end zone to end the game. But yeah,
it was like he was playing hot potato with it. He was like, oh.
Yeah, I literally thought the Bears won it because he should have caught that. It was pretty wild.
Yeah.
Montez Sweat had another big game. I think he is a guy for the Bears going forward. At this point, he had 2.5 sacks.
Interesting stat here. Montez Sweat is the sack leader on the season for the Bears with 6 sacks. He is the sack leader on the season for the Commanders, still with 6.5.
Sack leader for 2 different teams in one season. That's a pretty wild stat.
Yeah, I mean that might be broken in terms of the Commanders sack leader by the end of the season, but I doubt it.
Yeah,
I doubt it. I mean that they're a train wreck right now.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll get to them in due time. But for the Brownies, their offensive line is absolutely decimated. They're literally starting like third stringers and practice squad players in this game before they got more injuries. Like,
yeah,
they are holding a playoff spot, and at this point, I kind of do think they're gonna make the playoffs. But the Joe Flacco's gonna get beat up in the next coming weeks. That's all I'm saying about that. So. He's got a tough month to go, pretty much.
For sure.
Anyway, let's move to Lambeau Field. The Buccaneers and the Packers. A very surprising game for me. I was with Baker Mayfield all year, and then for this week, I finally said, you know what? I think this is it. In Lambeau, he's gonna have a bad day, and he ended up turning in his best performance of the year. Like a perfect
Not
day.
only his best performance of the year, he had a perfect game. So he had a perfect passer rating, which to be said, I mean, there was a lot to be made about Brock Purdy getting his perfect game. Baker Mayfield did it on a worse team with a worse supporting cast. So it's pretty impressive. And in a tougher environment, Lambeau Field, I don't care how good the Packers are. Lambeau Field is never an easy place to play. And he went in there and he got the first ever perfect game for a road quarterback at Lambeau Field.
That's a stat. He's going to be starting next year.
For sure.
And I'm here for it. He had 381 yards, 4 touchdowns, like you said, perfect game. Mike Evans and David Moore were having huge plays. Godwin had a huge day. They just couldn't be stopped. They ended up winning 34-20. And Packers, Jordan Love, he was solid, I guess, but they were just outplayed.
He was lukewarm.
They were just outplayed. They lost Jaden Reed to a toe injury in this one too. Hopefully we see him again as the Packers try to fight for a playoff spot. So
hopefully not. I'm gonna try to trade for him in Dynasty, and I think the guy would take.
So screw you, Jaden Reed.
I love Jaden Reed. I think he's a phenomenal player. I loved him coming out of Michigan State, and I think he's going to be very good in the league.
Yeah, I think he was one of the rookies you were talking up, right? Yeah. And look at him now. He's like been their best receiver.
Yeah. Also with the Packers, I was talking up Tucker Kraft. I thought he was a better tight end than Luke Musgrave, and he's doing much better than did. So there we go.
It's like you just know what you're talking about, at least when it comes to
at least when it comes to the Packers.
Anyway,
maybe I should switch to the Packers. I don't know.
Yeah, just be a cheesehead with Mike.
Yeah. And Kevin.
Oh, Kevin's a cheesehead. I think I did know that, actually.
He said it's a team that's always full of handsome white men.
Oh, Jesus. I thought that would be the Patriots, though, wouldn't it?
Well, he's more of like a Clay Matthews type guy.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. Like guys that, in his words, look like they fuck, but also look like they can fuck you up.
I see. Maybe he's a Gardner Minshew fan.
I don't know.
Anyway, let's move to Miami, the Jets and the Dolphins. We weren't sure what to think of this one. Tyreek Hill did not play. The Dolphins,
Didn't matter.
Yeah, Didn't matter at all, though. They came in without Tyreek Hill, and they wanted to prove something. And granted, it was against a very struggling Jets offense, but they ended up winning 30-0. They skunked them. Zach Wilson gets a concussion in this one. But listen, what I said about this game, I said Zach Wilson was going to come back to earth, and the Finns were going to win by 30. And look what happened. Both things happened. The Dolphins couldn't be stopped.
Yeah, I picked the Jets. Unfortunately, in this, I don't know why. I just thought, hey, logically, I thought the Jets defense was going to win it for them. I thought the Jets defense was going to be able to completely stop the receiving game for the Dolphins, and they did not stop Jaden Waddle at all. He went off, so much so that the owner was doing the Waddle dance after a touchdown.
Yeah, I saw that.
Whether it was that the Dolphins strictly just torched the Jets defense, I don't know. It could have been also the Jets had 3 yards of offense at halftime. So like, it's pathetic, dude. I can't wait for next year for Garrett Wilson to have an actual fucking quarterback.
Yeah, me either. I think the Jets get eliminated with this one. Trevor Siemian came in relief and looked even worse than Zach Wilson. But yeah, I think they're shutting down Aaron Rodgers at this point. I hope they do, because him coming in and possibly getting hurt would be the most Jets thing to ever happen. But
did you see Aaron Rodgers on the sideline?
Oh, he got in an argument with Garrett Wilson, didn't he?
He was pissed just about like the whole offense. When Wilson was back there, when Siemian was back there, every mistake they made, you could read his lips. He's like, "What the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? Are you fucking kidding me?" Like, he was fed up with it. He was just, yeah, he was over.
Yeah. Rodgers.
I'll tell you what, though, even going into next year with Rodgers, they need to fix their offensive line, because their offensive line, I know the Dolphins have a pretty good pass rush rate on getting the quarterback, but their offensive line, every single pass, every single play, they were allowing people in almost as soon as the snap was done. Like, yeah, terrible O-line.
They do have some injuries, but yeah, I think they got to give up on Mekhi Becton after this year. He's been a complete disaster for him. But yeah, I don't blame Rodgers.
I don't see the offense. Even with Rodgers, I think the offense is going to be kind of capped. We have Nathaniel Hackett as the OC, which is not a good coordinator.
The thing about Hackett, Aaron Rodgers is basically the OC when he's playing. I don't think Hackett really does much. He probably just calls in the plays, and Rodgers is like, I don't know, I'm going to change it.
Yeah,
that's how I assume that happens.
There's got to be a lot of audibles in play with Rodgers. Just the way he can dissect the defense and know just by the positioning of defensive players on what openings they're going to be. So, you're right there. I think Nathaniel Hackett is just a name, and then there's Aaron Rodgers is the OC.
Yeah. Finn's defense, you mentioned them. They ended up getting 6 sacks in this one. Bradley Chubb got 3 of them, so he had a pretty good day. I do have a little bit of trivia. This is the only trivia I have in the whole week. I didn't find too much to talk about, but trivia for the Dolphins. Mostert had his 17th touchdown of the year, which is a Dolphins franchise record. Do you know how many touchdowns Mostert had before this year? He's 31, by the way. So he's our age. We could be scoring touchdowns.
I'm older than him. I'm 32.
Oh God, you're 32 now. You old bitch.
How many did he have prior? 15.
Very close. He had 14 career touchdowns before this year. He had 17 this year at his age 31 season, when most running backs are long retired, which is pretty crazy.
He was once upon a time an Eagle, and we cut his ass. Now he's got 17 touchdowns.
Yeah, man. He met Mike McDaniel on the 49ers while he was there, and the rest is history, man.
He has 19 total, right, and 17 rushing?
I believe that's correct, yeah.
And yeah, is 19 the NFL record?
I don't think so. I didn't see anything about that, but I don't know.
Oh.
Either way, he's having a monster year. But let's move to New Orleans, the Giants and the Saints. Both of us picked the Giants. We were like, they've been playing good. Saints have been playing bad. Yeah, they could pull this off. Saints, Chris Olave missed the game. I really thought when the game started, the Giants had a chance, but the Saints kind of just owned them all game. They ended up winning 24-6, and they proved that they're still in this race to make the playoffs. It's pretty much them and the Buccaneers. We'll see if the Falcons can get back to it, but Tommy DeVito and the Giants just could not handle the Saints defense, which is still solid. They're still a solid defense. Their defensive player, I don't even know if I'm going to say this right, Tank Passignon had 3 sacks. I've never heard of that guy, to be honest. But yeah, the Saints had 7 sacks in this one. The Giants O-line could not handle them. DeVito was running for his life all game. And Derek Carr actually came alive in this one too. The first half wasn't all that great, but in the second half, he had 3 touchdowns. And Alvin Kamara, at the end of this game, had his 7th straight 1,000 yards of scrimmage year, which is a Saints record. So there you go, Alvin Kamara.
Very good running back. I will say I was way off on Mostert having the touchdown record. It's 28 by LT.
Oh, dude, LT. Why we should have known. He's a legend.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, he's very close to getting into. I can say by the end of season, he should be able to approach the top 5.
Hey, that's
so
big.
If he gets 21 TDs, he is in 6th place. So if he gets 22, he's 5th. Top 5 are John Riggins, Emmitt Smith, Sean Alexander, Priest Holmes, and LT.
That's a pretty good group.
24, 25, 27, 28.
Where's Adrian Peterson? I thought he'd be up there.
So did I, but he is not. His best season was 18.
Huh.
Keep in mind they did this with less games.
True. So Mostert has more touchdowns this year than Adrian Peterson ever had in a year. That's insane.
These are rushing TDs specifically.
Oh, okay. So he's 2 behind.
Yeah, that's still insane.
Right. Yeah, still insane. But yeah, he's just having a crazy season. Kind of like Jamal Williams for the Saints last year.
Yeah, that was wild. Like,
was it the Lions last year?
Very good running back, and he was the NFL leading touchdown getter as a
yeah, I love that dude. I wish he was seeing more this year, but he hasn't.
He's so funny.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, that game was kind of boring. Let's move to a better one in Tennessee. The Texans and the Titans divisional battle. They went to town. Both of us picked the Texans originally, and once CJ Stroud was guaranteed to be out, we both switched to the Titans.
Yep.
But the Texans showed out. They still came to play. This one went to overtime, and they were fighting down to the wire, tooth and nail, and the Texans took it 19-16. I honestly thought it was going to be a tie when we were getting close to the end of overtime. It was a pretty crazy.
This was just all their kicker. Fairbooth for the Texans. He had an excellent week in fantasy. I think he had 17, 18 points, which for a kicker, hell yeah. But this was a much needed win for the Texans on a game that CJ Stroud was out, Nico Collins was out. They don't have Tank Dell.
Dude, even Will Anderson missed this game.
They were able to scrape out the win, which was huge. So really, really, really important for them in their playoff push.
Yeah, they literally had no stars in this game and still pulled out a big win. That's a testament to how well the coaching staff has been doing in Houston this year. They finally found a guy.
I will say we thought it was going to be Davis as the QB there. It was Case Keenum.
Yeah, Minnesota legend from the Minnesota Miracle, Case Keenum getting the win. He didn't really, he got the statistical win, but I think it was more thanks to Devin Singletary, who had 121 yards, and the Texans defense that really won this game. They stopped Derrick Henry from doing really anything, and D-Hop, 2 legends in their own right, and made life difficult for Will Levis all game, including hurting him at the end of it. It says high ankle sprain, which ankle sprains they can be very bad. So we will see. He might not play next week or the rest of the season with a high ankle sprain. You never know. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Either way, let's move of that good game. Let's go to Foxborough. The Chiefs and the Patriots were duking it out. I thought, maybe the Pats have a chance. Probably not. No, they didn't have a chance. The Chiefs pretty much dominated them, 27-17. The score doesn't really say that they did, but they controlled the whole game. No Pacheco for them, no Stevenson for the Patriots, but Clyde Edwards-Helaire actually kind of had a comeback game in this one, and Rashee Rice was doing a little work in that one. I think they finally found a semi-decent receiver there.
Yeah.
But the play of the game for me, personally, as a Giants fan, was when Kadarius Toney dropped an easily catchable pass that was picked off by the Patriots, and it was just absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes was losing his mind. Like, are you kidding me? This is like the 3rd game that Kadarius Toney has tried to get the Chiefs to lose single-handedly. I think they should probably just cut him at this point, right? They can't.
Seriously,
they can't trust him.
I know they keep trying to save face and saying they trust him. Mahomes and Travis Kelce have said that they trust him, that they love KT. And at this point, though, there's no way that you have any faith in Kadarius Toney. He's
He's an
cost you games.
absolute joke.
I mean, he was a pivotal reason in which they won the Super Bowl with his punt
One big
return.
play. One big
But
play.
like one big play doesn't make up for the fact that he single-handedly is keeping this team from potentially being a 1 or 2 loss team.
I don't think they even use him as a returner anymore either. I think he got benched from that role for
Possibly.
just
Saw
get rid
from
of.
this game though, Sky Morris hitting the IR.
Oh yeah, I saw that too. That is unfortunate for them, but I mean he wasn't doing that much.
No.
I think personally that they should cut him and the Cowboys should pick up Kadarius Toney. I think that should happen. So he
I'd
can
be good with that. So he can lose the Cowboys some games.
he can lose the Cowboys the playoff game. That's exactly what would happen. It'd be hilarious. But yeah, Chiefs are decent. Patriots are stinky.
Pretty much.
Let's move to the 4 p.m. slate. In Arizona, the 49ers and the Cardinals. The 49ers are just better. They won 45-29. Not too much to say about this one, except I do have a question for you. So Brock Purdy, there's been a lot of MVP chanting going on. Him and I suppose Dak has been getting some MVP stuff too. Patrick Mahomes apparently is up there. I don't listen. For me, I think Tyreek Hill and CMC should be the top 2 guys this year. No quarterback has proven that they're the MVP this year.
I agree with that. So I don't think Brock Purdy necessarily makes the 49ers contenders. I don't think Dak Prescott necessarily makes the Cowboys contenders. I think those two have Brock Purdy is a game manager. Dak Prescott has become a game manager. So they're products of the offensive game plan that they are put into and the scheme that they are in. So with Shanahan and then the Cowboys, like both offenses, I think I say regardless of who would be there, but I say almost regardless of who's there, they're going to put up points. So, I mean, the 49ers looked really good last year with a healthy Jimmy Garoppolo, and to see what Jimmy Garoppolo did in Oakland, not Oakland, in Vegas. Jimmy Garoppolo's not a good quarterback. So the fact that he looked competent in that offense just shows that it's the scheme. So Brock Purdy, every single drop back, gets to choose between 4 Pro Bowlers to throw to. Dak Prescott gets one of the best receivers in the NFL. Very good running back, very good tight end, great line. Brandon Cooks, as his wide receiver 2, has had 1,000 yards every season of his career. So like he has good options there as well. So I think regardless, it's the same narrative that people use for Jalen Hurts. It's like if you're going to say that Jalen Hurts is a product of the offense and a product of the scheme, how are these guys not just the same? So I agree. I think CMC is the reason that the 49ers are where they are. That trade for him last year was the biggest reason they made it to the NFC Championship. So, when he was banged up this year, that's when they went on their 3-game skid.
Yep.
And then Tyreek Hill, dude's just a stud. He's a baller.
He's probably going to have the best season ever for a wide receiver. How is he not in the discussion of MVP at this point?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, even Brock Purdy said he should not be in the MVP conversation, that it should be CMC. CMC is the MVP of the 49ers and should be the MVP.
Yeah, I really think Reek or CMC should be. I think if any year it's not going to be a quarterback, this should be the year. But it probably will be a quarterback because that's how the league.
The thing is, like, Kirk Cousins doesn't get MVP chatter. Kirk Cousins, in my mind, like when he's healthy, he is a quarterback that purely makes a difference there.
Oh yeah. The Vikings have completely faltered since losing him.
And honestly, I would take Mahomes or Lamar Jackson as MVP over those two guys, over Dak and
Lamar is in there. He's up there.
Lamar is playing out of his mind this year, and Mahomes to do what he's doing with his supporting cast without having actual receivers, it's very impressive.
True. That is a fact. But I think we've talked about this enough. We've exhausted it. Let's move. Let's move to LA. The Commanders and the Rams, much like the last couple of games we talked about, this was just a game that was easy to pick. The Rams are just a better team than the Commanders. They won 28-10. Cooper Kupp had a huge play from Stafford that was fun, but
dude, he was so open. There wasn't anyone with like 40 yards of him. How is Cooper Kupp that wide open? He's one of the best receivers in the league. Like, I don't get it.
It just goes to show how far the Commanders have fallen on defense specifically. They're just bad. Honestly, the Rams, they're kind of bad in this game. They didn't do much. They didn't have to do much though, so I don't know what to really say about it.
But I will say Kyron Williams, 152 yards still. So
yeah, he did have a couple big fumbles, but yeah, he did play well other than that. The Commandos ended up benching Sam Howell at the end of the game for Jacoby Brissett, but Ron Rivera said that it was to protect Sam Howell. I don't really know what that means.
Well, Ron Rivera's gonna get fired, so
Oh, absolutely. There's no shot he makes it
no shot.
to next year. He's gonna be fired on Black Monday?
Yeah.
He's getting canned for sure. But yeah, boring game. Let's move to a very exciting game for our teams and us in general. In Buffalo, the Cowboys and the Bills. A lot of people thought the Cowboys were a really good team and that they had a good shot to win this game. We kind of thought differently. We were like, the Bills are going to take this one. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, they take this one easy. And James fucking Cook, dude.
James
Cook went off over 200 scrimmage yards. He had a day.
He had a freaking day. Yeah. The Bills took it 31-10 in total domination, and I absolutely love it. It was a rainy, cold day as the Bills dominate the overhyped Cowboys. James Cook, like you said, unstoppable, as Josh Allen pretty much just had to hand it off all day in this one to get his paycheck.
It's funny in the post-game interview, Josh Allen was like, when you have a group project and you're the guy that gets the A but didn't do anything. That was me. I didn't do anything this game, and we got the W. So thank you to my teammate.
Yeah, tough for fantasy playoff Josh Allen owners, but yeah, I don't think Josh Allen gives a shit. He got a big win in this one. Dak in the MVP hunt is we already talked about it. It's a joke. It's a joke to me. The Bills defense did not let him move the ball in this game. The Cowboys are 7-0 at home, but not good on the road. So that's something interesting to think about, because at this point, I think they need to find a way to take the division from the Eagles if they want to make a playoff run, because that home record really speaks to the Cowboys at home, I guess.
I mean, at this point, even if they did take the division, and we're second in the league or in the NFC, to get to the Super Bowl, they'd have to travel to San Francisco, which they probably would not come away with a win. I mean, they got decimated at home by San Francisco. So, or no, they played San Francisco
on the road.
Gotcha that. Yeah, it'd be probably the same thing.
Yeah, I think so too. The Cowboys have to hope that they somehow find a way to just always play somehow with that stupid jumbotron. I do want to go to Dallas one day, to be honest. It does seem like an interesting atmosphere.
We'll go for a college game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do they play it at that dome? Is it a dome?
Yeah,
I think it's a dome.
Yeah, so Texas and Oklahoma play every year in the Red, I have to say this slowly, Red River Rivalry. It's a tongue twister. They play at the Dome, Texas and Oklahoma.
Oh, absolutely. I'll wear some Oklahoma merch. Let's go.
They play every year at Dallas Stadium, and that's also where the Big 12 championship is played. So
Cuckoo. All right. Yeah, Bills win. We love it. Let's move to Sunday Night Football in Jacksonville. The Ravens and the Jaguars. We both picked the Ravens. We were pretty confident about it. And that's what happened. The Ravens won 23-7, and they just looked a lot better. They really did.
Yeah. And my only thing, I have what are the Ravens going to do with the emergence of Isaiah Likely? So next season, Mark Andrews is back and healthy. Do they just operate off a 2 tight end system? Do they change up their offense to have both of those going out there like the Patriots did with Gronk and Hernandez? Or do they trade Likely? What do they do?
That is
that's a good problem to have.
Yeah, that's a very happy situation for the Ravens GM there. I imagine they'll probably try to do a 2 tight end system to start, and I think it will work very nicely because Isaiah Likely looks really good right now, and Mark Andrews.
They're two different style tight ends too, so they fit that mold just like Gronk and Hernandez did, where Hernandez was the more athletic one, and Gronk was just the big bruiser, and that's the Mark Andrews in that situation.
Yeah, and their receiver room isn't all that impressive, so that would be kind of huge if they had a 2 tight end group like that. I imagine they will be getting a lot of calls for Isaiah Likely because there is a lack of talent in the tight end room in the NFL at the moment. So I imagine they'll get a lot of calls. And I mean, who knows? They'd probably pull the trigger if they get some crazy offer. I could see it. I could definitely see it. But for this specific game, he did really well. And the Jags, they look kind of bad. They had a lot of miscues, which has been following them all year. We've mentioned it before on this pod. They might make the playoffs, but at this point, I don't think they're going to go very far unless they can somehow clean up their issues. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they might make the playoffs, but they lead the division right now, kind of. I mean, they have the same record as the Colts, the same record as the Texans. So, I mean, it comes down to the last 3 weeks and who's playing what good teams. So, honestly, and if there's no Will Levis, who's playing the Titans? Because that's probably going to be a win.
Yeah, that is a good point. I'm actually going to pull up the Jaguars. Who they got? They got the Buccaneers, the Panthers, and the Titans. So, I mean, they don't have the hardest schedule in the world. I still think they'll probably do it. The Texans have the Browns, the Titans, and the Colts. So Texans-Colts is going to be huge in the last week. And the Colts have the Falcons, Raiders, and Texans. So honestly, none of them really have a crazy hard schedule. I think 2 of these teams are probably going to make it at least, maybe even all 3, depending on how the rest of the conference goes.
Steelers are going to fall out. Bengals are iffy still. They have looked good at time, like with Browning, but I feel like it's just how long is that going to last? Like you said, the Browns are getting decimated with injuries, so they might fall out. Who knows? It'll be fun though between the Browns, Bengals, Colts, Texans, and Jags.
Yeah, it should make for a wild ending to the season for sure for the playoff hopefuls. But let's move to your game of the week, Monday Night Football in Seattle, the 12th man. We didn't think they were going to come out to play against the Eagles in this one, but they sure did. They ended up taking this one 20-17 as the Eagles just disappoint. What do you got for us, Fred?
Yeah, this was a disappointing loss. And I have a few thoughts on this game. So it's kind of echoing what I've already said. I'll start off. Jalen Hurts in this game clearly was not himself. Even though he looked bad against the Cowboys, looked bad against the 49ers, this man did not practice all week because he was sick. This man flew on a separate plane and could not be in the same plane as his teammate because of his illness.
Pretty wild.
And if you looked at him on the field, he was dead. He was lifeless. Honestly, like I think they should have sat him and just started Marcus Mariota in this. Like I don't care that Mariota or
Tanner McKee.
Yeah. Either one of them, I think they should have started them in this game. Honestly, like because Hurts just looked like he was gonna pass out there. He gutted it out though. The Eagles had the win in their in their pocket. They should have had it. And it ultimately comes down to the same problem I've been echoing over and over again, the offensive coordinator in the play calling. First drive of the game, run, use Goddard, used Smith, used A.J. Brown. They spread the ball around. It was a very good drive, so much so that our buddy Tyler, who is a diehard Giants fan, texted me and was like, that was an awesome drive. That was a perfect drive. Like, if you keep doing that, you're going to destroy the Seahawks this game, and you'll put confidence in anybody again that the Eagles are good. But they stopped doing it. And the offense didn't look the same the rest of the game. They were up 17. They were up 17-13 going into the last 3 minutes of the game, 3-4 minutes. And like I said, I messaged you, like, what the fuck are they doing? Why are you drawing up deep pass plays in that scenario? Just run the fucking ball or do slants across the middle. Use the field. Keep running clock. Why are you throwing deep passes to the sideline? It doesn't make sense. And they resulted in two picks. Like Brian Johnson needs to get out of the play calling. The defense moved on from Sean Desai and put in Matt Patricia as the defensive play caller, and it seemed to work. The guys are playing hard. I mean, 2 young corners and Josh Jobe and Eli Ricks were able to lock up DK for most of the game, which is no easy task. James Bradbury sucks, by the way. Debo was right, and I fucking hate Debo. James Bradbury sucks. He's getting burned almost every week. No Slay this game, but I don't know. It's until they make a change of offensive coordinator, I don't have any faith that this offense is going to do much. Because
calling for Brian Johnson's head.
Either Sirianni needs to step in and be the OC, which he was the OC in Indianapolis for a while. And then either that or bring in Marcus Brady, who's already in the same role that Patricia was with, but on the offensive side, and make him the OC. I don't care like that Brian Johnson's in his first year and he's going to have growing. This is a Super Bowl or bust year. So fuck his ego and just go and do what you need to do. Like, and for the Eagles fan and the Eagles community last night, there were a lot of people saying, fire Sirianni and cut Jalen. And I'm like, are you fucking serious? Like, Sirianni's gotten us 10 plus wins in 2 back-to-back seasons. He got us to the playoffs 3 years in a row. Like, the dude's a good coach. He's just his offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. We're not getting the job done. And unless you have a full coaching room, you're not going to get the job done. I don't care who the fuck you are. You're not going to get the job done. Look at the Patriots. Bill Belichick's one of the greatest coaches of all time, and they suck. Yeah, and Jalen Hurts, we wouldn't be here without Hurts. So fuck you guys. Fuck that noise. Dude's a baller. He's allowed to go through rough patches. Fuck off.
I will give a few Seahawks notes for Seahawks fans.
Hey,
Drew Lock.
Say.
Geno Smith was out. He was active, but he was like injured, so they had Drew Lock start the game. And Drew Lock wasn't like super impressive, but he did get the game-winning drive. So hey, that's what you want from your backup, right? Against the Eagles team.
Did you watch it? Did you see that crazy catch that DK had where DK dropped the pass, but it was held up on the defender's leg and he grabbed it off the defender's leg?
I did not see that, no.
And just kind of like pinned it to himself. And that was it was like 3rd and 10, and they ended up converting on that because of a crazy like circumstantial catch. I will say I find it very hilarious that Jerry Jones said that he watched every second of the Eagles loss and found it marvelous. And I'm like, you got absolutely washed by the Bills.
Yeah, their loss was worse.
You got washed by the Bills, and now you have to go and play the Ravens and the Dolphins next. So you have more pressing matters to worry about than what's happening with
Good luck. Yeah. The only other note I have for this is you mentioned Hurts got picked off twice. They were both by the same player too.
Former Giant, Jordan, or not
Former
Jordan,
Giant, Julian Love. Yeah, I was pretty upset when the Giants got rid of Julian Love, but it was a money thing, so I get it. We wanted to pay Daniel Jones to sit on the bench instead. But yeah, Julian Love, 2 picks and a huge win. So yeah, go Julian Love. Love that guy. But yeah, that wraps it up for the week,
both
right?
Both ill-advised, should not have even been attempted. So why is that even the playbook right there? Makes no fucking sense.
I think
Makes no sense both times.
Julian Love was staring him down. He scared him into throwing it. He's like, ah!
What are you going to do?
That wraps up week 15, though. Where can people find us, man?
Yeah. Like I said, it's a wrap on another episode. Best way to support our show, leave a rating or review on all platforms you listen on. And of course, by liking our show. Make sure to follow the Flea Flicker Show on YouTube, listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and follow us on social media at Flea Flicker Show. And thank you once again, Flea Flicker Nation, for tuning in. Until next time.
Peace.